we have greetings and gratitude to the earth, waters, and plants from the Thanksgiving address of the Haudenosaunee people. And you are welcome to join me when we say, "Now our minds are one," at the end of each verse. The Earth Mother, we are all thankful to our Mother, the Earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk about upon her. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us, as she has from the beginning of time. To our Mother, we send greetings and thanks, and now our minds are one. The waters, we give thanks to all of the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us with strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms: waterfalls and rain, mists and streams, rivers and oceans. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the Spirit of water. Now our minds are one. The plants. Now we turn toward the vast fields of plant life. As far as the eye can see, the plants grow, working many wonders. They sustain many life forms. With our minds gathered together, we give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life for many generations to come. Now our minds are one. The food plants. With one mind, we turn to honor and thank all the food plants we harvest from the garden. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and berries have helped the people survive. Many other living things draw strength from them too. We gather all the plant foods together as one and send them a greeting of thanks. Now our minds are one. The medicine herbs. Now we turn to all the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take away sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal us. We are happy there are still among us those special few who remember how to use these plants for healing. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the medicines and to the keepers of the medicines. Now our minds are one. The trees. We now turn our thoughts to the trees. The earth has many families of trees who have their own instructions and uses. Some provide us with shelter and shade, others with fruit, beauty, and other useful things. Many people of the world use a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind, we greet and thank the tree life. Now our minds are one. And for our second reading, we have the greetings and gratitude from the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving Address to animals, spirits, humans, and the heavens. So we will begin with the fish. We turn our minds to all of the fish life in the water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify the water. They also give themselves to us as food. We are grateful that we can still find pure water, so we turn now to the fish and send our greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. The animals. We gather our minds together to send greetings and thanks to the animal life in the world. They have many things to teach us as people. We are honored by them when they give up their lives so we may use their bodies as food for our people. We see them near our homes and in the deep forests. We are glad they are still here, and we hope that it will always be so. Now our minds are one. The birds. We put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who move and fly about over our heads. The Creator gave them beautiful songs. Each day they remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be their leader. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. The four winds. We are all thankful to the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air as they refresh and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greetings and thanks to the four winds. Now our minds are one. Now we turn to the west, the thunderers. Now we turn to the west, where our grandfathers, the thunder beings, live. With lightning and thundering voices, they bring with them the water that renews life. We are thankful that they keep those evil things made by Okiwisires underground. We bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks to our grandfathers, the thunderers. Now our minds are one. The sun. We now send greetings and thanks to our eldest brother, the sun. Each day, without fail, he travels the sky from east to west, bringing the light of a new day. He is the source of all the fires of life. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our brother, the sun. Now our minds are one. Grandmother Moon, we put our minds together to give thanks to our oldest grandmother, the moon, who lights the nighttime sky. She is the leader of women all over the world, and she governs the movement of the ocean tides. By her changing face, we measure time, and it is the moon who watches over the arrival of children here on earth. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our grandmother, the moon. Now our minds are one. The stars. We give thanks to the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry. We see them in the night, helping the moon to light the darkness and bringing dew to the gardens and growing things. When we travel at night, they guide us home. With our minds gathered together as one, we send greetings and thanks to the stars. Now our minds are one. The enlightened teachers. We gather our minds to greet and thank the enlightened teachers who have come to help throughout the ages. When we forget how to live in harmony, they remind us of the way we were instructed to live as people. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to these caring teachers. Now our minds are one. The Creator. Now we turn our thoughts to the Creator or Great Spirit and send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on this Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we gather our minds together as one and send our choicest words of greetings and thanks to the Creator. Now our minds are one. Thinking of what to say today, it occurred to me to speak of two men who have defined some of how we see the world today, Henry and Mark. Both were white men of some privilege, born in the northeastern United States, although 167 years apart. Henry grew up right here in Concord, Mark in White Plains, New York. My own background is not so different from Henry's or Mark's. I grew up in a suburb near here, white, and the recipient of substantial privilege. Henry and Mark share something else, a trait I too share with them. We all see the world through an outsider's eyes. We have a gift that is sometimes called a disability, an unusual way of looking at the world and of finding our way in the world. Both Henry and Mark attended Harvard College, although only Henry graduated. Henry's education was combined with a lifetime of experiences in the woods and fields of Concord, extensive wanderings through New England, and listening to the voices of Native Americans whom he admired greatly. From these experiences, from using his different vision to see a world that others too often missed, Henry learned of a world in which everything is interconnected, and he saw the spirit in all humans and in all the world beyond the human. His outsider's eyes led us to a world in which all is included, a world where we can each follow our own path, yet can all be part of something greater. His belief in the transcendental spirit in all of us and all around us led him to an ardent belief in the abolition of slavery, and at the end of his life to some of the first Western intellectual writings in the science of ecology. Henry was both skeptical of and fascinated by technology. He was an inventor who improved the manufacture of pencils, and he used the train that was new to the Concord of his time to visit the Harvard libraries regularly while he was living at Walden. While he used technology, he was also deeply concerned about its impacts on the pace and scale of our lives, and about its potential to disconnect us from what is really important. Perhaps Henry's most famous words are, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived." Mark, also an outsider, sought connection in a different space. Like Henry and I, and so many like us, he had a hard time with the world society put in front of him, but he was able to see another world. He had a vision of computers and networks as a way to bring people together. He didn't see the connections he wanted to see in the world he was born into, so he set out to build another. And digital worlds are his way of finding a place, first with Facebook, and now with his dream of the metaverse. He wrote, "A lot of people think that the metaverse is about a place, but one definition of this is that it's about a time when basically immersive digital worlds become the primary way that we live our lives and spend our time." Mark's virtual world has connected us to far-flung people, but in a profound sense, it has disconnected us from another world, from the world that Henry knew so well. The world we are building online is a world in which the citizens are humans, machines, and advertisements, but it is the machines and advertisements that mediate the metaverse and that really matter. I doubt that it was really Mark's dream, but this lonely commercial world is how that dream has been filtered through our capitalist society. As we live increasingly online, we miss the world that Henry lived so deeply in, the world that he was a part of rather than apart from. Henry and Mark were each trying to find a world to fit in. Henry by delving deeper into the beauty and interconnection of Concord and by seeing the connection among all beings. Mark by building a different world, an online world he feels more comfortable in. I have found my place as a neurodivergent person much as Henry did, in studying and loving our deeply connected world, our earth that loves us back. Henry did not seek to build a different world, nor do I. Mark very likely never had the chance that Henry and I have both had, the opportunity to live in connection with the human and the more than human world, to see the profound interconnection among life, the transcendental spark that machines will never duplicate. Mark is still young, and I would invite him to look around himself and beyond himself to see the beauty of our interconnected natural world and to realize that the metaverse of his dreams already exists, that there is a place for him too in the web of the world that we all share. he too has the opportunity to take up the ties of this beautiful interconnected world. Henry spoke of radical connection to the world around us, the world we see every day, the world we share with ensouled beings, human and non-human, animal and plant and fungal. Did Henry anticipate the social media world that Mark has helped build a century and 3/4 later? He wondered about the relevance of celebrity and was famously skeptical of the telegraph, stating, "We are in great haste to construct a magnetic telegraph from Maine to Texas. But Maine and Texas, it may be, have nothing important to communicate. We are eager to tunnel under the Atlantic and bring the old world some weeks nearer to the new. But perchance the first news that will leak through into the broad flapping American ear will be that Princess Adelaide has the whooping cough." Did Mark anticipate how empty this world would become, how lonely it would become? I believe Mark's early dreams of connection never envisioned algorithms, advertisements, hate speech, or Russian spies. They were about finding real people who care for us. That dream was lost in a business model that is not actually about sharing baby pictures and tokens of connection with those close to us, but to hook us on gossip and shopping, the modern equivalent of Princess Adelaide's whooping cough. When we are hooked, algorithms target us with insidious advertisements that know our weaknesses, know how to make us feel bad about ourselves, and suggest meaningless consumption as the solution. Robin Wall Kimmerer shares a story that has long been known to the native peoples of the northern tier of North America, the story of one whose witness is greed, as a metaphor for this kind of meaningless consumption. The native peoples of our region knew him well, and they called him Wendigo. The Wendigo was once human, but he has been transformed into a being who can only eat, and he can never be satisfied. As he eats more and more, he grows taller and stronger, but he grows more gaunt and more unsatisfied. Places where he is dominant inevitably become ghost towns. He must consume, but consumption will never satisfy him. He cannot love or connect, and this is his curse. The virtual world is the world of the Wendigo, and he has been building it long before he had help from Silicon Valley. The native people whose stories the Wendigo is have him correctly pegged as a monster. Too often, in headlines in the Wall Street Journal, he is mistaken for a prophet. Kimmerer also shares the secret of defeating the Wendigo. He can only be defeated by restoring the bonds of community and interconnection to us all, even to the Wendigo himself, that he has fractured with his greed. We must love and connect even to the Wendigo, restoring in the end his ability to connect and love. We must welcome all people and all life and help everyone to find their place, to find their home. Many indigenous cosmologies have included what Henry and his friends in Concord called transcendentalism, the belief that the spirit is present all around us, in each of us, and in the more than human world, long before a group of white scholars began to talk about it. Suzanne Simard and other scientists have rediscovered what many in indigenous cultures have long known, and they are putting these old truths in a new language. Transcendentalism is one way of expressing the default state of being human within a refulgent web of interconnected life. As we remember that we are a part of a profound interconnected world, a world that we share with all living beings, how does it challenge us to live? If we are all sacred and we are all worthy of love, and all the world is too, what does this mean? It certainly speaks profoundly against racism, sexism, ableism, homophobia, and all other forms of discrimination against any human. Henry's ardent abolitionism was not independent of his view of the interconnections of the world. The two went hand in hand. It also challenges us to live in a different relationship to non-human beings, a relationship that acknowledges interconnection rather than seeing the non-human world as a mere source of resources. We acquire a responsibility to all other life, but we also gain the support of all other life. Robin Wall Kimmerer puts it this way, and it is truly beautiful. Knowing that you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and protect and celebrate. But when you feel that the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms the relationship from a one-way street into a sacred bond. What Henry and his friends discussed here was only new within the limits of their culture. It is deeply radical in our accelerated capitalist world, but it is as ancient as humanity itself. In fact, it is more ancient than humanity, for we are increasingly realizing that non-human beings live in a world of deep interconnection. Henry showed his relationship to the earth in this deep way through the care of his observations. His journals are full of natural history observations, most of them from here in Concord. I looked at his journal entries for this day, November 27th of various years, all within a few miles of this place. Henry spoke of the color of oak leaves, of the cheerlessness of these short days, of mouse and moose, of rabbit and mink. He spoke of the hope he found in the bright green of the club moss Lycopodium lucidulum, a shining color in an otherwise largely gray landscape. He spoke of wolves, already a legend in the Concord of the mid-19th century, but common enough a century and a quarter before. He heard of them from a fellow Concordian who remembered what his grandfather had said of them. By 1858, near the end of his life, Henry was writing of the communities of plants he saw in barren hollows and plains around Walden, going beyond observations of the individual species to seeing how they exist together. Not all of us are as lucky as Henry to find their home in the town where they were born. Many of us have had to search far and wide, and finding our place can be the work of a lifetime. I didn't have Henry's luck, but I have found places for my soul over the years. I have found it in the forests of Vermont, in a land of healing and regeneration, where the return of complexity to the forest inspires us that the earth can heal, given time and love. I have walked every mile of trail at the Point Reyes National Seashore in California, becoming part of the dance of sea and sky and dune in a place that always surprises me with its wildness, only 30 miles from the Golden Gate Bridge. I have wandered the beaches of Cape Cod in winter, finding the infinite and the transcendent in a place that is all about conformity at another time of the year. I have walked hundreds of miles on the Pacific Crest Trail and the Long Trail, thinking of what Henry wrote in Walking. I have contemplated the interconnection of the world beneath coast redwoods, and wondered of permanence and impermanence in the shadow of ancient bristlecone pines. I have shared Concord with Henry, connected by a snapping turtle, who is probably the grandchild of the one he once knew at Great Meadows. If I could, I would say to Mark, there is connection with the people whom you love, and with the world beyond the human, far more meaningful than any metaverse. I heard you speak once, and what struck me wasn't the grand dreams of a virtual world. It was the love you have for your family. I have read about the land you steward in Hawaii, and the key for you may be there. When you walk that land with Priscilla and your daughters, think of the connections and the love in that place. Is that the metaverse that you are seeking, except that it is real? You might even meet a whale, a being who is known for an ability to connect across species boundaries. That the whale doesn't care that your mind works a little differently from many humans. You might be more ready to connect with them because you can see how another mind might work. Almost exactly 162 years ago, on November 26 of 1860, Henry took the next step in his journals. He is writing not only of individual species of plants and animals, nor even of those who live in association, but of how those interconnections work. He writes of the dispersal of seeds and of how human land use practices influence the regeneration of plants. He writes of the relationship, the interconnection of plants and animals, of how trees and squirrels and birds need each other. Henry was the first Western ecologist. He may have been the first American to read Darwin's Origin of Species. Beyond ecology, he was a philosopher and an activist who showed us a way toward a more satisfying way of life. He inspired Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. And he learned from Joe Paulus and other indigenous Americans. Can we learn from Henry and those he learned from and those on the journey he shares with us? Can we join Henry, Robin Wall Kimmerer, and so many others in building change by finding and building connection? Ultimately, our only path forward is to move out of the Anthropocene world of climate change to an Ecocene world where we live as a part of an interconnected whole. This journey is the only way to build a sustainable life for all beings. It is a difficult journey that lies ahead, but it is also a profoundly joyous and rewarding one. It is a journey of interconnection, of rebuilding, and ultimately, it is a journey of love. It is a journey of hope, for the world we can build is a better one than the world we live in. It builds upon sacred bonds between humans and among all of those beings with whom we share the earth. Thank you.